Welcome back to the 1014 audio channel. This is going to be the second video in our series of training over audio technology in churches. My name is Max, and this is going to be a basic overview of the equipment that you're going to be going through. One of the most important things to do before you start plugging in random things, not knowing what's going to happen, is to understand your gear and how it works. This isn't going to be going through and breaking open the entire thing, knowing how it works cable by cable, piece by piece, but this is going to be a basic overview so you guys can know how your gear works all together and how you can best utilize it for the sound in your church. First off, what we're going to be talking about is an XLR cable. Now this cable is most commonly used in audio. It stands for external line return. That basically means that it takes it from one source to another. So typically you find this plugged into microphones and it's going to either a stage box or it's going to the mixer, or sometimes they're plugged in amplifiers as well. It's the most commonly used cable in audio technology, and in it, it has 3 different pins. It has a hot, a cold, and a ground. The ground is primarily there to be able to keep out audio signals in different frequencies, radio frequencies that are in the air. This is typically what the XLR cable is used for, but it has many, many different uses. It also has this female and male input down here. It plugs into the source with the female, taking the source from the microphone, and then taking that to the male and then plugging it in to a mixer or speaker setup. The next cable we'll be looking at is a tip sleeve cable, or a 1/4-inch cable, more commonly known. This is the second most commonly used cable in audio. See, it has a tip at the very top of it and then a sleeve in the middle. The tip acts as the place where the source comes through, and then the sleeve acts as the ground, which catches all the radio frequencies in the air. With this only having a tip in the sleeve, it is unbalanced, and therefore it makes it more susceptible to noise and especially radio frequencies over long distances. Short distance, they work very well. Over long distances, it doesn't work nearly as well. Typically, this cable is used for guitars, other instruments, sometimes audio sources from a computer. Typically, you use this to connect that. Next, we have a tip ring sleeve cable. Very similar, it's still a 1/4-inch cable, typically is what we call it, but it's different in the fact that it has this ring right here. So we have the tip, we have the ring, and we have the sleeve. What the ring does is it makes this cable, turns it from just a mono cable to where it's unbalanced to a balanced cable where it can send stereo out of this as well. Typically you see this most used in headphones, and it acts very, very similar to the 1/4-inch. Next up, we have a Cat5 cable. Now this is most commonly used in networking and different IT departments, but this also can be used in audio. What it's made up of is 4 different pairs of copper wire twisted together that helps reduce signal interference. And typically, like I said, we see this used with computers and different IT things, but also one great thing about Cat5 cables is that it can carry signal across long distances, and it can take multiple channels of audio from one place to another. Next, we have speaker cables. Now, this is most commonly mixed up with 1/4-inch cables that are primarily for instruments. The difference in it is that this is a tip sleeve cable as well. It looks just like a 1/4-inch, except this part is a lot thicker right here. The difference in them is that this is carrying much, much higher levels of audio and much more power through it. So when you plug it into your guitar, it can damage that, it can damage the input. So do not plug it into that. This is one of the connectors. It's a tip sleeve. Another one we have right here is also a speak-on cable. This is really good because you can plug it in and then it twists and locks in. It's much more likely for this to stay in versus this 1/4-inch sometimes can get stepped on, it can get pulled out. What these typically are always used for is taking audio signal from your board to your speakers, whether that be with a speaker with a passive signal, so you have to take the amp through it, or if the speaker already has the amp inside of it and it's a powered speaker, this typically takes your audio from your board to your speaker. And with it being such high power and such high levels of audio going through it, it's a lot less impedance. So the tip sleeve doesn't matter nearly as much without having the ground in it. Now that we've learned about our cables, let's move into some of our equipment. And first off, we're going to be talking about the SM58. This is a microphone, and we can spend an entire video going over microphones because every microphone is made differently. They all have their unique pickup patterns, whether dynamic, condensed, There's so many different qualities and different properties for microphones, but for this overview of equipment in this video, we're just going to be going over the most basic one to use, which is an SM58. So an SM58 is the Studio Microphone 58. It's a dynamic mic, and it's passive, which means it doesn't have to have any other extra audio to be plugged into it. It's got these 3 pins at the bottom right here. So it means that the female end of your XLR plugs into it. And as you speak into it, it takes a signal through and then sends it to your mixer. They're very, very durable, and they're very much preferred for speech because they have a high resonancy on the higher end. And I'll show that EQ right here on the video. This is the most commonly used mic, and there's very, very many others. So this is not the only mic that is used in audio, but it's a very common one, and that's why I wanted to go over it with you guys. Next up, we have our mic clip. Now basically, as you can all tell, what does this do? It connects to your mic, and then the mic clip goes onto your stand. So this is what your mic clip does. It just goes on here, and then at the end of your stand, right here, there's a place where you can put it on, and you just twist it. So it gets on firmly. You don't want it turning and moving all over the place on you. And then to the bottom of it, it's got these 3 legs. And so what you want to do is you want to release it, loosen it up, and then take the 3 legs out, have them loose, and then pull your end all the way down to where you can get the most amount of height out of this stand as possible. So you have it right here, like this. And at the higher end of it, you can take it with this guy right here, and then make it as high as you want to. I only need it very high right now. So I'm going to tighten that back up right there. And then with this little lever right here, you can unloosen that and then adjust the arm. This is the arm, and this just depends on what angle you want your mic to be at. So you put this at your right angle that you want, and then say you're playing at the piano and you need it much closer to you than it was. You can go with either of these 2 knobs right here and loosen it. And then you can take it much further out for you to be able to sing it to while the mic stands over there. Next up, we have a DI box, or a direct injection box. Now typically what we do with this is you plug in your 1/4 inch right here, which is coming from either your guitar or keyboard, and then you plug in your XLR at the back here. This basically takes a signal from your guitar and then transfers it through and processes it in here, and it takes it out to your XLR to get to the mixer. Now why would you do this? Basically, the signal that's coming from the electric guitar and the piano and the keys, it's very big. And so what we call that is called line level. It's much higher, and we'll get into the audio chain later in a different video, but it's much higher. And what the DI box does is that it takes that high signal and that it converts it down to mic level, which is a much lower signal, which goes through the XLR, and then it gets boosted there on the mixer. Yeah, this is basically what the DI box does, but it also has a through plug where you can plug in a 1/4 inch to take it through, and then also on the back of it typically. All DIs are differently, but this one has a lift and a ground switch. Next up, we have a stage box. And now basically what this does is that it reduces clutter, it makes routing much easier, and it centralizes all of your inputs to one location. And the best part about it is that it can be in a different location than where your mixer is. It's really frustrating when you have to be across the room and your mixer is on the other side of the room. It's really, really hard to be able to take signal from that far without getting either audio loss and signal loss through that, or just being straight out inconvenient. And so the wonderful thing that we have is we have stage boxes. This is a stage box that is made by Behringer. It takes all your inputs and plugins that you would have on the typical mixer, and it puts it right here onto this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 16 channels right here, and you also have 8 outs on this one. They're all different, but this one primarily takes the audio that's plugged into here from either the microphone or the guitars or the DIs. It takes the audio that's plugged into here, and then right here it has an out for our Cat5 cable that we talked about later. Our Cat5 takes that audio from this stage box, and then it transfers that all the way into your mixer. So these are very, very helpful when not wanting to have a million different cables, especially from long distances, and it also preserves the quality of that audio over long distances without loss. Next up, what we're going to be talking about is the audio console. An audio console is typically a device that is found in radios, stations, churches, different live events, places. There's a lot of different ones that you've seen, and there's different shapes and sizes and forms that they take. but we're going to be looking at an audio console that's an analog console and also a digital console. Now, analog consoles take the signal that's being brought into, and it uses physical circuits to be able to process through and send it through. And what you do in an analog console is they can change the different gain output that you have. It's got a very limited EQ. It's got some aux sends on it, and a fader with a master volume, but it has no built-in effects on it. Typically, most analog consoles are much more limited and found in smaller venues, versus digital consoles are found in much bigger venues. A digital console uses the signal that's given to it and it converts it to a digital one, so it has a much, much broader and much more extended processing on it. You can do many, many more things with a digital console, and that's also a touchscreen, which is very, very helpful and very accessible with built-in effects. Now, right here, I have a small Mackie analog mixer that's got 8 channels on here and a lot of different ways that you can send it between all these different outputs on here, but it also is very, very limited. So the nice thing about a digital console is that it takes all of these knobs right here and that converts that into a touchscreen where you can change and work on all the effects in a much, much easier way. The audio console is a brain where it takes in all of the signals that you have, and it takes that and then sends it out through the speakers or the mixer. We will have a much, much more in-depth video on audio consoles to come. Lastly, we have speakers. Speakers is what takes our sound that we get from our microphone, that's sent to the mixer, and it has processing on it, and it finally gets sent out to your room. Speakers basically take the signal that's sent out from the mixer and then converts it through drivers to sound waves that get sent out through the air to where we can hear them. Speakers come in two different types. There's a powered speaker and then a passive speaker. Powered speakers have amps built into them already to where the signal that gets sent to it is amplified through the speaker itself and then is sent out. But passive speakers have to have an external amplifier to help amplify the signal to where the driver can convert the signal to sound waves to get sent out. Thank you for joining me for this overview of audio technology. This has been our equipment overview and our Knowing Your Gear episode. I hope all of this information has helped you, has been able to be informative, but also not crazy overwhelming. There's a lot of different aspects, and you can go so in depth with all this equipment, but this is just a basic overview in order to help us in our future videos of setting up your audio console. Thank you all, and I'll see you for the next video.